Man, I am getting wrecked by this call. The whole time I've been offline, the whole time. What am I doing? I sound like somebody failing to start a car engine. It's crazy. So annoying. One minute late? Late? Why are some of you saying late? Wait, why are you some of you saying late? Is the stream delayed? Or do you mean like late? Late in the sense that I'm not usually streaming this late. I don't know with you people. I don't know. It's 4 a.m. right now. Go to bed. What do you call it? Emilia Roma because you're Roma? That's cool. The YouTube people were all complaining you were taking too long. Taking too long to start the stream or taking too long to schedule it? What are you people even on about? You're all crazy. You're crazy. You sound crazy right now. You know what I sound? Moisturized. Wear sunscreen, people. I can't see chat, so I have no. I don't have a wall to bounce balls off of. Oh, how difficult. I can just see it moving by. Moving by. But why should I bother myself? The lion does not concern himself with the opinions of sheep. The moisturized fella does not concern himself with the opinions of unmoisturized fellas. At least until he puts his glasses back on. What's up? Hmm? Huh? Yes, I'll have some tea. Thank you. How was your day? Did you run some errands? I already told you what I've been up to. Pay attention. My God. So, crazy enough, by the way, we're not getting a Senate vote tonight. Do you know why? I can't believe it, but Senator Schumer, Chuck Schumer, good old Chuck, proposed a unanimous consent resolution. Just shit that bill right on through. As long as every single senator agrees. Unanimous consent. And you'll never guess what passed. Unanimous consent. I know. How often do you get that? Especially these days, right? Unanimous consent. Goes right through. Now, my understanding is that it hasn't actually been brought to the Senate yet. Only that unanimous consent has been agreed to. Essentially, once it's introduced into the Senate, it just goes right through.
Back with some breaking news in our politics lead, a major update on that Senate vote to release the Epstein files. Let's get right to CNN's Manu Raju on Capitol Hill. Manu, we didn't even know if the Senate was going to take up the Epstein files bill. What is playing out right now?
Yeah, just a couple weeks ago, it seemed like this bill was dead on arrival. Just a few days ago, it seemed like it was dead on arrival in the United States Senate. But now it is on its way to the president's desk in a remarkable turnaround, in an extremely fast move here. The Senate.
Again, I do think that technically it hasn't been brought to the Senate yet. It's only that it's been established that when it enters into the Senate docket, it just goes right through. I could be wrong on that. That's my understanding. At any rate, we still have to get through that, then the president. But, you know, it doesn't really matter whether Trump signs it or not. Trump will sign it, but even if he didn't sign it, it wouldn't matter because it's a veto-proof, you know, pass.
Has essentially green-lighted this bill to be approved as soon as tonight and be sent to the president's desk. Now, essentially what happened was that in the aftermath of this House vote this afternoon, 427 to 1, just one member of the entire United States House voting against it. This is now on its way to the Senate. Now, there has not been a
Right now, Clay Higgins of Louisiana is getting drawn and quartered on Twitter. I can tell you that much. The one Republican in the House who voted against the release of the Epstein files, they're getting his ass, man. Literally one guy.
Process has to be formally sent over to the United States Senate. That process was to take some time to get through the official writing of getting the bill over across the Capitol. It's an arcane process, but once it gets over to the United States Senate, that's when the bill can be read in the Senate and essentially passed. So what we just saw moments ago was Chuck Schumer, the Senate Democratic leader. He went to the floor of the United States Senate and he said, he asked for what's known in the Senate as unanimous consent. That means that all 100 senators have to agree, or one senator could object and slow things down. He asked unanimous consent that for when the Senate receives the final paperwork of the bill that just passed the United States House, that it would be approved by the United States Senate. Nobody
goes right through, no objections, no amendments, no alterations.
Objected to that, Jake. So what that means is that as soon as it's formally transmitted, this bill is formally transmitted from the House to the Senate will essentially have it approved. It will be approved in their chamber. There does not need to be a roll call vote, and then it will go to the president's desk for his signature, in which the president has indicated that he will sign, despite fighting this for months, despite the efforts by the Republican leaders, particularly in the House, to try to deny its vote. Ultimately, the president capitulated, said that he believed that the House Republicans should vote for it because dozens were already planning to buck him. And the Speaker of the House, who did not want this bill to come to the floor, ultimately voted yes, which has been a remarkable turnaround, pushed by a handful of members in the House of Representatives, pushing their members to, pushing the leadership, circumventing the leadership, forcing this on the floor, ultimately getting the leadership behind this. And now,
why did Trump shift? Because this outcome was inevitable. That's my best guess. That's it. It's just this outcome was inevitable. It was going to go through the House. It was going to go through the Senate. Trump has the two options, one of which is to futilely resist, and the other is to capitulate, and that's it. There was nothing he could have done to avoid this. Huge credit to the two primary architects of this initiative, Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna, and also to a lesser extent to Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and the other Republicans who are willing to break rank and sign the 218. It's the moment it reached that threshold, it's been running down
through the Senate in a blink of an eye, and now onto the president's desk. And within 30 days, when this becomes law, Jake, that's when the Justice Department will have to comply to release.
Any credit to Schumer? Fuck no. No, absolutely not. He hasn't been involved in this. It was a House effort, for one, and for two, no, he hasn't been part of the vocal, Epstein vocal Democrats. Hakeem Jeffries has been better about it than him. The only thing Chuck Schumer did was offer, unanimous consent motion, but this outcome was inevitable either way.
The files, the Epstein files, and if it does not comply for whatever reason, it has to explain why. But right now, a remarkable moment as the Senate greenlights passage of this bill that has dogged the House in particular over the last several months.
Joining us now, Democratic Congressman of Illinois, Raja Krishnamurthy. He sits on the House Oversight and Intelligence Committees. Congressman, thanks very much for being here. The Oversight Committee, of course, has put out some of these new revelations from Jeffrey Epstein's estate. But I want to start with what this bill would do, which is to force the release of the files from the Department of Justice. And I think my top question for you is...
Somebody clipped the moment from C-SPAN of Schumer getting the unanimous consent motion. Oh, sure. Why not?
I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate receives H.R. 4405, the Epstein Files Transparency Act from the House, the Senate proceed to its immediate consideration, the bill be considered read 3 times and passed with no intervening action or debate, and the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there an objection? Without objection, so ordered.
The Senate has now passed the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over from the House. I yield the floor.
I can tell he's real happy with that one, which in fairness, he should be, right?
Mr. President.
Senator from Oregon.
We love our proceduralism. So did Trump just not want bad PR from the file reveal because there's no way he gets impeached for this? Impeachment's not on the table. Impeachment is fake. Don't worry about it. It's not a real thing. You dreamt about it. It's not a real process. Okay? This is just about PR. Trump flipped because either way the files are getting out and it looks worse for him to fight against it the whole way. Can you imagine how bad it would look for Trump if he just dragged this out for months more? He is hemorrhaging support over this. If he spends another 2 months threatening senators, nah, if you vote for the Epstein files, it's a distraction. Don't look in there. Don't look in there. You know, come on, no. I think he's trying to rip the Band-Aid off with this one. Get the files out there. The FBI's definitely already censored a whole bunch of information. The DOJ's already censored a bunch of information. Put it out there. Hope that's the end of it, you know? We're literally watching Trump being turned into a lame duck in real time after less than a year. Yeah, no, I think this is the beginning of Trump's lame duck presidency. He more than like anyone else needs, well, unanimous consent within the Republican Party. As soon as people start turning on him over anything, it falls apart real fucking quick. Real fucking quick. I wonder if the document's been modified. They've been heavily censored, no doubt. Is it possible for the FBI to have removed every mention of Trump, not just censored? What do you mean removed? Well, you mean they just, like, use whiteout rather than blackout? I don't know what you mean.
Do you trust what the DOJ will be forced to put out? Are you confident that you can trust what you see?
Not yet. I think that there's going to be a lot of pressure, however, from not only Democrats, but Republicans, members of the MAGA base. And
leave pages out. Look, they are legally required to make all of the files available for public search within 30 days. This is being procured by the Department of Justice, all right? They cannot leave pages out. What they can do is censor information if deemed necessary to protect the identity of victims, unaffiliated people, or to protect the national security of the United States. Pam Bondi, as the Attorney General, has discretion on this process and uses both the DOJ and the FBI in different ways to achieve it. Will these files be heavily censored? Yes. Some of that censorship is good. It's a good thing, for example, that censorship could prevent people from knowing the identity of those who are involved but only to their own detriment, or people who might be mentioned in these files or implicated but them have themselves done nothing wrong, you know? Much like with the release of the files from Epstein's estate, the reason why these things aren't done willy-nilly is because, you know, you don't want to blow up the lives of everyone, literally everyone ever associated with Epstein. What about his maids, air attendants, servants, housekeepers, chefs at his New York estate? You know, they are going to censor people legitimately, and that's fine, right? They're probably also going to try to censor stuff that actually looks bad for Trump. It's going to be up to us, the American people, to look through the files that they release and to see how sussy they are. Have these files vented. That's our responsibility, okay? This isn't about criminal indictment. It's not about impeachment. What if he does this? Then we deal with it, okay? Take the W. They're not happy about this stuff. They could black out whole pages? Sure. And then people will be really suspicious, and then the PR stuff continues. What do you want? Yeah, they could, the more they censor, the more people will remain curious or incredulous. People are going to say, what did you need to black out these 5 pages for? There's no way you're just hiding the identity of a few people here. You know? There's no good way out for them for this. They can't make this look good. Just take the win. No matter what they put out, they're going to get shit for it. Give them shit for it.
others to release the files in full. One of the things I'm concerned about is an effort to maybe amend this particular bill to be able to have the greater ability to redact names and information, which I hear is an amendment that some Republicans want to do. And I think that will just invite monkey business, and we can't have that. I think they should just take up the bill as it is, get it passed and signed into law, and then release the files.
Do you, at this point, have reason to believe that there is more information in these files that DOJ has?
What if Trump just orders the DOJ to not release it? I'm begging of you, please. Can I just a second? Don't be retarded. Stop with the constant, stop with fucking Doctor Strange searching through 100,000 timelines to find the one possible microscopic possibility. What if a meteor hits you tomorrow? Shut up. You people are so unused to winning that you search for pessimism. You're getting fucking sloppy top right now, and your eyes are scanning the room right now, looking to see if there's like a cobweb in the corner. Take the fucking W, man. By the way, the reason I react this way, because the full text of the messages was this. What if Trump just orders the DOJ not to release it and tries to wait for the storm to blow over? Laws literally don't apply to Trump after all. That's not how this works. Your uninformed cynicism is reducing your ability to capitalize on political opportunities. That's all I'm saying. I'm just like, it's not to your benefit. You're probably hurting your mental too. I mean, it's not good for your mental.
Or in additional files from the Epstein estate about President Trump?
I think so. You know, basically, some of the files that we have right now have emails, which you are well aware of, that make reference to certain aspects of Donald Trump and his relationship to Jeffrey Epstein, but we don't necessarily understand the context. And so we're left wondering, okay, well, what else is in the files that could explain that? But if I could just step back for a second, I think the real reason why this passed with such a huge vote in the House is because of the survivors and the victims of the child sex trafficking ring. I got to tell you, I met with them for 3 hours along with a group of bipartisan members of the Oversight Committee. I think that meeting helped to stiffen the resolve of people that we have to do justice by them. We have to make sure that they're able to see these files, which in many cases detail trauma and abuse that they've long forgotten because of that abuse. And so to do justice to them and to prevent this from ever happening again, I think there's a real desire to release the files and then hold people accountable.
I think it's really funny that Mike Johnson expected this to be amended in the Senate. Yeah, stuff like this gives me a lot of confidence that this is not an outcome they were exactly banking on.
I'll tell you, there's a handful of Republicans, Judiciary Committee members, and a few others who are really struggling, as I have been, about whether or not they could even vote yes today because of this. Because we don't have an absolute guarantee that this will be fixed in the Senate. I have a high degree of confidence in that, and that's why that's why I'll be voting yes today. And I'll tell you, there's a handful of.
Or in other words, politically, we understand the release of these files is bad for Trump, but I also understand that if I vote no, I'm going to get bowled over, and it's going to look terrible for me. So I'm just going to pray people in the Senate are willing to take the bullet for me, and vote no or push to amend the bill. But nope, unanimous consent. Again, it's not looking like they're planning for this, okay?
No, it's very important to send, and we're going to have a conversation later in the hour.
Sorry, Vosh, I wasn't trying to be overly cynical. I was just thinking out loud. It's fine. It's just like earlier today, too, fully a quarter of the posts in chat have been people being like, hey, hello, I don't know how the government works. What if everything's still bad? You know? Like a lot of the questions, it's like it reveals like a lack of understanding of how the processes even work. You know, I wish there was a bit more reflexive optimism. I don't expect everyone in the audience to have a perfect understanding of how. I mean, I certainly don't, right? But people do. Listen, I don't expect you to understand how the government functions perfectly. Okay, it's a labyrinthine bureaucracy. I do expect you to be able to take dubs when you can. That's an essential life skill. You know, it's like tying your shoelaces.
With Gloria Allred specifically about those experiences. If you, in the committee, receive more information that also implicates Democrats, I mean, some of the revelations from the files that you all put out have...
Love Kyle, but he's contributing to his mindset? Nope. Not at all. What Kyle's do is he's preemptively fulfilling the other half of the pact that I've said. No matter what comes out, people are going to complain. So complain. He's complaining, you know? He's complaining preemptively. He'll probably be complaining post-emptively as well. They're going to censor stuff, so bitch about it. Call him a pedophile. If you see a blacked out name and it looks sussy, say it's Trump. You don't know that it's not. We know that the DOJ lies. We know that they're desperately trying to engage in a criminal conspiracy to cover up for Trump's crimes. I'll put the burden of proof is on them. Accuse them of whatever you want. Have fun with it.
Resulted in Larry Summers, a longtime Democratic official, stepping back from a number of his public roles because of what was exposed. Are you committed to putting those emails out no matter what?
Absolutely. Nobody should be spared scrutiny as part of this particular investigation. I think that at this point, whoever emerges as having been implicated needs to be held accountable.
And when do you think the public can expect to see more from Jeffrey Epstein's estate? I mean, we heard from Robert Garcia last night that there is another expected release coming.
Yeah, I think that they're going to produce it on a rolling basis. And so it could literally be any time. That being said, my hope, one issue that maybe hasn't come up is that, the president could release these files of his own volition today.
Sure.
He doesn't have to wait for this legislation to pass the Senate and get signed into law. He could release it today. And so that's something that I and others are also pressing for as well in response to our own subpoena from the Oversight Committee.
Let's discuss what's going on here with Miami Herald investigative reporter Julie K. Brown.
Definitely another big sign that Trump's not happy with how this is going down. If they had some big plan to release some juiced up version of the Epstein files where the only people implicated are Democrats or whatever, why wouldn't he do it himself? The DOJ can just release the files. There's nothing, they don't need to wait for Congress.
Just a reminder, her reporting in 2017 and 2018 exposed so many of these horrific details of Epstein's alleged sex trafficking ring. She's also the author of a great book I recommend, Perversion of Justice, the Jeffrey Epstein Story. Julie, welcome back to the show. So hours before bringing the Epstein vote to the House floor today, Speaker Mike Johnson said this. Take a listen.
The Democrats had every one of the Epstein files in their possession for the 4 long years of the Biden administration. The Biden Department of Justice had the files the entire time. And not a single one of the people who are so loud and animated right now, they never said anything about it for all those 4 years.
Yeah, they definitely should have. Especially since Joe Biden is like the last guy to have been associated with Epstein. He should have dropped that shit. Joe Biden, Kamala, they're both fine. Neither of them are associated. Fucking. Isn't he kind of right? No, he is. The Democrats have refused to bring up Epstein since Trump first ran, a decade ago, because they're gigantic pussies.
Is that accurate?
Well, it's not only inaccurate, it's ridiculous. I mean, the case was an open criminal investigation.
They were sealed by the court? Nope, it's because they're gigantic pussies. Joe Biden's administration could have done 1,000 things they didn't do. Even in 2016, Hillary Clinton should have just brought it up. She could have just called Trump a pedophile. I mean, yeah, admittedly, Hillary's married to Bill Clinton, so that's a little bit of a deeper cut there. But after Trump won, Democrats could have just called him a pedophile nonstop. There's nothing illegal. It's not illegal. It's not the United Kingdom. We have free speech here.
In the Biden administration, they were pursuing charges against Ghislaine Maxwell, as we know. They obtained a conviction, and after that, she appealed. You cannot open up your criminal case files when a case is still open, and by being under appeal, the case still remained open. Also, by the way, we really don't know to what extent they were still trying to hold other people accountable in this case. They obtained a lot more information in the past couple of years from new victims who have come forward, and they may very well have still been investigating other possible charges against other possible people who were involved. It always kind of surprised me that one of the things the Trump
She does sound a
administration
bit like RFK
never
Jr.
said when they came into office, or never mentioned whether the case was still an open investigation or a closed one. And so we're still left wondering what kind of case they were building possibly against some of these other wealthy and powerful people who were involved with Epstein.
Their plan is that they'll claim the files are part of an ongoing investigation so they can't be released? Okay, sure. Then they get yelled at. That's really bad PR. They only opened that investigation like 4 days ago. That's still an L. Just take the W. Just take the W.
On Monday,
there's no bad outcome here for us. Literally none.
Trump said that he would sign the Epstein bill if the Senate passes it. In the current legislation, Attorney General Pam Bondi has the right to withhold or redact any information that would, quote, jeopardize an active federal investigation or ongoing prosecution, unquote. Are you at all concerned that this vote might only be symbolic because President Trump last week ordered the Justice Department to investigate Epstein's ties with high-profile figures who are Democrats?
I'm not only concerned because of that. Of course, now they're going to use the "it's an open investigation" card to probably hold back material. But I'm also
sure. So they just get yelled at. They opened this investigation literally last week. That looks terrible for them.
Frankly concerned about the way this case has been handled from the very beginning with all these FBI agents. The New York Times reported that they were combing through these files. We had the leak of a member of the Justice Department say on camera that they were purposefully redacting the names of key Republican figures from these files. So there's going to be a lot of questions about how solid these files are when they are released. I felt that part of the speaker's remarks today was an effort to sort of remind people that there's going to be things in here that they're not going to release. So he was sort of setting the stage, I think, for heavy redactions where we're going to see pages and pages of things that have 5 words on them and the rest of the page is going to be redacted. That's the way the FBI files right now look, and there's no reason for them to do those kinds of heavy redactions.
Julie K. Brown, thank you so much.
There's literally going to be no end to the conspiracism. Like, we know for a fact, according to the FBI, that a huge amount of the information they've collected in their roundup of Little St. James after Epstein's death includes child sexual abuse material, obviously, which means that there are photos and videos of that. So, being abused by who? Like, there's no way around it. The files contain incriminating evidence. There's literally no way around that fact. Now, of course, they're not going to release that material explicitly, nor should they. But people are always going to have questions about who's implicated in these files. In all likelihood, there's probably evidence on hundreds or even thousands of powerful people contained within the Epstein files. You know? They're not going to go after everyone, but the idea that the FBI could release a version of this that everyone would just accept, it'd be scrubbed clean and everyone would just accept it and walk it by, it's not happening. It's not happening. How's Fox covering this?
Legislation forcing the Justice Department to publicly release its files on the late financier and convicted sexual abuser Jeffrey Epstein could be on President Trump's desk very soon. The House passed the measure this morning, and a short time ago, the Senate agreed to approve it by unanimous consent. Senior national correspondent Aisha Husni has the details. She's on Capitol Hill for us. Good evening, Aisha.
John, good evening to you. And it was Senate Minority Leader.
Dumb question. If the DOJ has incriminating evidence on thousands of people, why are they not being prosecuted? Deep state.
Chuck Schumer, who asked for unanimous consent, which fast tracks everything, doesn't require a vote, and no senator objected, which means that the Senate has now synced up with the House. And so as soon as the House releases this bill text, the president will then sign it. John? Excuse me.
Tonight, the House passed a bill 427-1, compelling the Justice Department to release all files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
If this does become public, would the DOJ be forced to prosecute these people or no? Nope.
Republican Congressman Clay Higgins, the only no vote, claiming on X that the bill's broad reveal of criminal investigative files released to a rabid media will absolutely result in innocent people being hurt.
It risks re-victimizing those who were trafficked and exploited.
But the bill's authors disagree.
Justice delayed is justice denied. It could be just another delay tactic.
Is that what you think? That's the motivation from the speaker?
I think the speaker wants to save face.
The fight over the Epstein files runs far deeper. Many Republicans claim Democrats are politicizing this investigation to harm President Trump, and they wonder why now.
To those who say that Biden should have released these files, let me just address that right now. You're right. He should have. He's not the president right now. Donald Trump is.
Republicans also say it's Democrats who are connected to Epstein, like Larry Summers, the former Clinton Treasury Secretary and former Harvard president, announcing this week he's stepping back from public life after emails and text messages revealed Summers, a married man, was seeking advice from Epstein on how to pursue someone he described as a female mentee. It happened between 2018 and 2019.
Checking in with your rizziest friend to get the Riz tips on your most attractive student. No. That's go right ahead, Larry Summers. Still teaching at Harvard, by the way. Fucking pedophile school.
10 years after Epstein first pled guilty to soliciting a minor. Congress may not be united on the Epstein bill today, but dozens of survivors are. The brother of Virginia Roberts Giuffre in tears.
Well, Sissy, you didn't just make a small dent. You made a monumental impact.
And John, in 2 days' time, the House will take a vote on whether or not to censure Delegate Stacey Plaskett and remove her from the Intel Committee over text messages that she was exchanging with Jeffrey Epstein during a congressional hearing where he was feeding her information that she was using in
It is crazy how many people are implicated.
Questioning. John?
Yes, that one was really an eye-opener. And Aisha, a federal judge handed Republicans and President Trump a big blow to their efforts to keep the House next year. What's that all about?
Yeah, this came down from...
I want to see punditry. I want to see people on Fox News talking about this. I want opinions, you know? Warning from Speaker Johnson on Epstein files legislation. Something tells me people aren't happy about this one. No, the dislike is fine. Yeah, I already covered that, Dr. Judge Esquire.
Let's bring in Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. He sits on the Health Committee and Banking Committee. So what about that? Why now? Why didn't the Democrats do this at some point over the last 4 years?
Well, why didn't the Democrats? This is how fucked Trump is, you know? The most they can do in response to the overwhelming popularity of releasing the files. Keep in mind, Republicans were not willing to sign on to the release petition until it ticked over to 218. This tide only happened once people realized it was inevitable. They're so spineless, man. Seriously, like every Republican shifted over except for one in the House. One didn't. Even Mike Johnson did.
It's a distraction, obviously. I mean, it's obvious that it wasn't a big deal when Biden was there. This is obviously looking a lot worse on them. I mean, you got Summers that was, you know, Epstein's wingman. You have Clinton that was on his plane.
Totally dead talking point. This doesn't even resonate within the MAGA movement today. The MAGA movement today is like, yes, the files have been released. Don't really know what Trump was doing blocking these for so long, but yes, let's take a look. Like, everyone wants these files released. Republicans are not happy with how Trump has handled this. This, like, dickless, and this guy voted yes on the files being released, of course. The idea that you can participate in a cover-up for this long, and then only after shifting over and finally allowing it to happen, being bowled over by public demand, you pretend this whole time that you're just sort of nonchalantly going with it. But why weren't the Democrats doing this before? Buddy, Trump spent a year fighting to keep these suppressed.
6 times. You have the delegate from the U.S. Virgin Islands, Plaskett.
We'll come to her in a second.
Yeah, who's
okay, he didn't object to unanimous consent. Thank you.
Him and took a $30,000 donation for the DCCC on it. So I think this is all just a distraction that they're trying to get away from their policies and their ridiculous agenda that they have. I mean, think about this. We were 43 days in a shutdown. Not one word about the Epstein files. The day the government was reopening, they switched immediately. Every left-leaning fake news outlet started running Epstein stuff immediately when it took place. And I think President Trump was smart by saying, release them. Go ahead, get them all out.
And then we had those.
It's genuinely pathetic. Like a year of like fucking foaming at the mouth every time a journalist brings it up. Fuck you, it's a fake hoax, whatever. And then you all vote yes. Or sorry, don't object to unanimous consent. They can't even own their position on it. We're going to get so many beautiful flavors of cope from the right.
But I do think it's a big distraction, and Democrats are getting caught up in something. Some have suggested Trump is doing this on purpose. Rope-a-dope, tell him to come in. Oh, no, the Epstein thing's a hoax. They tackled this issue, and then Trump focuses on tariffs. He focuses on immigration. The American people at the kitchen table aren't talking about Epstein. They're talking about grocery prices, and as you already pointed out, they're down. I mean, they're still high, but they're coming down. And I think
yeah, listen, after fighting tooth and nail to prevent the release of the Epstein files we all know he's implicated in for over a year, Trump acquiescing on the issue is a sign that he's ready to focus on the kitchen table issues that thus far he's been fucking America over on. Brilliant. They have nothing to turn to. They have nothing. Immigration, ISIS stalled. Tariffs, they've walked back on the tariffs. The economy, inflation's up, the economy's down. They have literally nothing to pivot to. It's dead. The MAGA movement is dead. The MAGA movement is dead, man.
that's what's going to win a midterm election.
Yeah. And he's now real focused on it, especially after the last elections in these blue states. Kind of a wake-up call, and that's a good thing.
Brilliant stuff, really. Really, really, really.
Any reaction to Leader Thune seeing the bill without adding amendments or changing it?
I am deeply disappointed in this outcome. I think I'm told I've been at the state dinner. I don't know. I was just told that Chuck Schumer rushed it to the floor and put it out there preemptively. It needed amendments. I just spoke to the president about that. We'll see what happens.
So do you think he may veto it? You say you spoke to the president?
I'm not saying that.
Is he supportive of it in its current form?
Dog, he acts like he's in the files too.
We both have concerns about it, so we'll see. I was standing there with the Crown Prince. We couldn't call him.
Are you frustrated in the majority leader? Are you upset with the majority leader?
Where's the happy warrior? Yeah, I don't see him. I don't see him. I don't see a happy warrior. Jesus. Can I know a little bit more about what was mentioned there briefly in the Fox News segment? The person on the Intel committee who was texting Epstein during an investigation. What's up with this? Newly released documents reviewed by the WAPO appear to indicate that during a 2019 hearing where Cohen testified, Jeffrey Epstein was texting Del Stacey Plaskett.
This was when Barack Obama was president of the United States. And while we were once driving through a struggling neighborhood in Chicago, he commented that only black people could live that way. Attorney-client privilege, yes, I will turn it over.
You, as my friend Mr. Meadows pointed out, misled this committee even today in a written submission that contradicted your testimony. You have suggested you are going to review that. Are you going to review it?
So she is literally texting Jeffrey Epstein while this is happening? That's fucking insane.
In our next break to correct the record, yes or no?
Yes.
Question, you
Quick, I'm up next. Is that an acronym?
Or were involved in the campaign as a representative, as a spokesman, even in your words today. It was your idea for the campaign dating back to 2011. Is that accurate, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals, Ms. Rona. Who are those individuals? Are they with the Trump Organization?
They are.
Are there other people that we should be meeting with?
So Alan Weisselberg is the chief financial officer.
Uh-huh. You got to quickly give us as many names as you can so we can get to them.
Yes, ma'am.
As Ms. Rona, what is Ms. Rona's position?
Rona Graff is Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his, and she's...
Text from Jeffrey Epstein sent 2 minutes later. Good work. Ooh.
Involved in a lot that went on.
Treason? It is fucking insane how many people have been implicated through this. The crazy thing is, Jeffrey Epstein is just one financier. There are thousands of Jeffrey Epsteins. He's just the one. He was just a particularly prominent one who got mixed up in child sex trafficking. There are thousands and thousands of Epsteins, man. Mixed up, okay, yeah, mixed up, maybe not the best. Listen, okay, that became his, what was it? His Pokemon gym type. Jeffrey Epstein specialized in pedophilia. That was his signature move. But there's lots of Epsteins. Jesus. Poison type specialist. Like a million Charlie Kirks? Exactly like that. Yes, yes. 100%. I guess for the sake of completion, I'll watch this too. Get Mike Johnson's coat.
Breaking right now, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, on the floor ahead of a highly anticipated vote on releasing the Epstein files. Let's listen in.
Democrats are using the Epstein tragedy, the unspeakable evils that this guy committed with his trafficking ring and all of the abuses that they made these young women go through. They're using that as a political weapon to try to distract from their failures as a party and to try their best to try to tie President Trump somehow into this wretched scandal. The president had nothing to do with it. He's been very clear, and he has nothing to hide, and that's why he's endorsed the vote today. I suspect this vote will be probably unanimous. But here's the important point that everybody needs to understand. We have been advocates of maximum transparency, but we have also insisted that the victims be carefully protected.
The thing that's odd to me is that Republicans are definitely wondering what they're going to do post-Trump. Mike Johnson is young, talented, and quite powerful. You know, he wants to have a continuing career. Why is he hitching his career to Trump this hard? You know, like, why is he continuing to bemoan the release of the Epstein files even after voting yes? He's been fighting it the whole time. He's stupid? I don't think he's stupid at all. It doesn't add up. I don't know. It feels like he's not advocating for his own best interest, I guess. I feel like it would be smart of him to try to carve out some space for himself in the, in the party, even without Trump. Maybe he is a loyalist. He could just be a genuine loyalist. That's possible.
The Oversight Committee has been doing extraordinary work, and we've got some of the most vigorous advocates on the Republican and Democrat side on the Oversight Committee. They've been working in earnest to deliver transparency for the American people and to do it in a responsible manner. What do we mean by that? The bipartisan effort over there is already producing all the results that the discharge petition seeks and much, much more. Chairman Comer and all of these advocates over there have been releasing thousands of documents, for example, from the Epstein estate. By the way, in my view, that's been the greatest treasure trove of information because it's yielded for us Epstein's own personal flight logs, his financial records, his daily calendars, and so much more. But importantly, none of that was addressed or is addressed in the legislation.
Epstein wasn't a financier. He was an international power broker and player. He was no mention there. No, he did finance people. But it is true that he was much more of a power broker than a financier. For the most part, like the money that he had, he invested it lightly, but for the most part, it was just for his own betterment. It was, yeah, he was in real estate, and he, he infamously gave money to one Quebecois alt-righter back in the day for educational reasons, if I recall. But no, for the most part, yeah, it was mostly power brokering, to be sure. I mean, kind of a XQC. Yes, XQC is in the Epstein files. No, he's not. I assume.
Legislation that's being voted on today. The estate files wouldn't even have been encompassed in that. And so it goes to show that the Oversight Committee is doing it from the right way. From the very beginning, we've been insistent that this matter be handled carefully.
Why did Trump want to release the Epstein files? Because it was inevitable, and I think he wanted to get ahead of it.
Utmost caution and care for the people who have been harmed. They should not.
It's like if you take a gigantic shit in the toilet and you clog it and you flush and the poop water rises up and there's poop and water all over the bathroom floor and it's like stained everything and it's disgusting in there, and you go out and you don't know what to do, and then your mom walks around into the hallway and she's like, oh, I need to get something from the restroom, and you're like, no, I need to be in there, I need to get something from there, and she's like, no, I'll just be a second, and past the point you realize no matter what she's going to make it to the bathroom, so you might as well like let her go through rather than try to physically bar the door, because she will get through you if you try to bar the door. And it'll only make her more upset when she sees the poop floor. The poop floor. What is this example? Well, I'm trying to work with the experiences of my audience. I ran a couple in my head. Poop sock, finding the poop sock. They were all poop related. You know? In like a Freudian sense, I figure you guys are at around that level of mental development. So I'm trying to relate to the kinds of like deeply held emotional experiences you might have had.
Not be made to suffer any longer. We're talking about real people's lives at stake here, and young victims who don't want to be dragged into this political game that could get hurt further. But the Democrats are rushing the release of thousands of unsubstantiated documents that may be included in this, that are going to be in the public domain with the passage of this bill. And there are serious deficiencies in the legislation that I have noted at length, and Republicans have to work to address those deficiencies in the Senate if and when this legislation is advanced. I stood before the American public today at our press conference, and I explained in detail the dangers of the discharge petition. We have posted at my website, speaker.gov, a summary. The legal counsel, a small army of lawyers, put this together. I used to be a federal court litigator. Many of my colleagues who have spoken today were. We understand the dangers of how this was haphazardly drawn up. And among them...
Again, literally all of the concerns that he has brought up here, everything he's saying he's worried about, explicitly in the bill has been covered. Pam Bondi already has license to censor the documents as suggested by Mike Johnson here. This is just a desperate effort to keep them from being released.
By the way, Mr. Speaker, before I forget, I seek unanimous consent to enter into this document into the record. It's on the website. It's entitled, How the Flaws of H.R. 4405 Could Re-Victimize Epstein's Victims, Create New Victims, and Damage the Judicial System. It is dated today. Thank you. And it summarizes just 5 or 6 of the major concerns. Among them, it fails to fully protect victim privacy. It could create new categories of victims. It potentially jeopardizes grand jury secrecy. It fails to prohibit release of child sexual abuse materials that are not appropriately defined in the legislation. It jeopardizes future federal investigations, and we have national security concerns regarding classified information. We'll put this in the record because we need the legislative record to reflect what is the legislative intent behind this vote. I used to litigate cases. We would litigate federal statutes and whether or not they could survive, and legislative intent is important, and we need to say...
Oh, bro's just lying? Can we cap this off? I'm tired of Mike Johnson, okay? The biggest, funniest cap-off that I could possibly find to the unanimous consent resolution from the Senate was this post from Trump. I don't care when the Senate passes the House bill, whether tonight or at some time in the near future. I just don't want Republicans to take their eyes off all the victories that we've had, including the great big beautiful bill, closed borders, no men in women's sports, ending DEI, record-setting inflation, stop date wars, having trillions invested in the USA, having created the hottest country anywhere in the world, even delivering a huge defeat to the Democrats that shut down. In other words, listen, guys, no matter what comes out in those files, just don't forget about all the stuff we've done. We had a good run, didn't we? We got pretty far for Couple of goofy goobers. We made it pretty far for a couple of pedophiles, didn't we? Yeah, it's not part of the plan. They're not happy. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. I'm sorry. It's it was a good run. To think Trump might have just been spared all of this if he just stayed the fuck out of the presidency. It really is a Greek tragedy, right? He's the worst man on earth. He got everything that he wanted, but he was so greedy he couldn't help but, like, his legacy could have been being the Apprentice guy. Trump would have still been a rapist pedophile, but he would have just been one other celebrity associated with Jeffrey Epstein. By becoming the president, now him and Jeffrey Epstein is a central topic. It's pretty funny. In a way, he released the files. Yeah, essentially. No, for sure. Sorry. Still got that cough impulse. The goofy goober stuff was pushing me to my limit. Man. SpongeBob movie came out in 2004? Yeah, that sounds about right. Didn't SpongeBob come out in like 2000, 2001? $1999? Okay, yeah. Isn't that when Evangelion came out? End of Evangelion? That's a crazy year for animation. No, that was 2001? Then was it Evangelion? That was... Huh. Why didn't he mention renaming the Gulf of Mexico? That's a good question. That was like a big moment, you know? All right, guys. Well, the main thing that I wanted to do was go over the unanimous consent resolution. There will be more to do tomorrow. I do kind of want to be moderate and recover my voice. That being said, E33, no, I really do need to recover my voice. I don't know why I got this cough resurgent, but I really was up coughing for like 3 hours last night. It's not good. My job kind of requires me to take some care of it, you know. Read donos. Yeah, I was going to read donos. I was going to say before we read donos, I wanted to take a peek at a thing from More Perfect Union, but if you're all in such a rush for the stream to end, then maybe we can just go, maybe this can be the last stream ever. No? Oh, now you come crawling back. I'm surprised I didn't see this back when it released. Why young men don't like the Democrats. I'm really curious. I just want to take a peek. Can I take a peek? Am I allowed to take a peek?
Trump and Vance and them, you know, they just put themselves out there. They're more direct.
They have co-opted masculinity and they've politicized it.
I hate this
I want to see the tone. I want to see the tone.
Joe Rogan of the left that they need one. Joe Rogan is sort of left.
I do feel as though they are a distraction from class consciousness.
All of a sudden, everybody's talking about young men.
Men.
Young men.
More than half of the male vote nationwide went to Trump.
Men under 30.
Men under 30.
In 2016, I voted for Trump over Hillary. Before then, you know, I didn't really vote, but I did support Obama in 2012 and 2008. We definitely went Trump in 2020. Not like I didn't support him. I don't support anything political, you know. I believe that I'm just a working man in America. You know, the president don't matter for me. They ain't gonna pass some crazy executive order that's gonna change my life or anything.
It's all happening.
Just smoke and mirrors for me, you know what I'm saying?
Median voter? Yeah, for sure. It's fucking infuriating, right? Absolutely. This is the I genuinely think one of the main reasons so many politicians turn into like voids, you know, like no beliefs, no principles, whatever, is because they have too many encounters with the median voter. I really think this shit will blackpill you.
I voted in this election. I voted red down the ballot, and I voted in the primary, and before that I was too young.
The last time I voted was 2012 for Obama. It was the first time I could vote. After that, I kind of felt as though, you know, politics and politicians were kind of blending into a uniform party overall, and things weren't fundamentally changing.
All throughout high school, I used to be a Republican, but my family got affected by the 2017 Trump tax cuts.
You got affected by it in what way? In a good way?
In a bad way.
In a bad way, okay.
Yeah, and I was just thinking to myself, like, who is this billionaire to lie to us and say, well, I'm going to fight for the truck driver, I'm going to fight for the carpenter and the middle-class person, when he's not any of those things.
So I've just had a kind of cynical view on general
Well,
elections.
he seems all right.
You know, I really don't think the general election matters that much unless you live in a handful of states. And I just used a write-in. I voted for local measures, but I don't really feel seen or heard by anyone in the government.
Let's look at some economic realities. In the top 20% of the income distribution, both women and men are flourishing on almost every measure. Growing wealth, longer lifespans. But outside of this top bracket, over the last 50 years, the trajectories for women and men have been very different. Women today are working more and for better pay than ever before. There's still a gender pay gap, but it's narrowing, which is great news. Men, on the other hand, are working less, often for worse pay. Real wage levels for many men are trending down. I wanted to know if the guys...
Is that the actual number, by the way? Employment rate of working class men versus women? That's crazy. Whew, whew, whew.
Worse pay. Real wage levels for many men are trending down. I wanted to know if the guys in this room were feeling the effects of these economic trends.
On average, do you think that men are having it harder or women are having it harder in the economy today? I'll start with you, Joel.
I'd say vaguely men, but I'd say vaguely in the
Why?
And sort of barely.
Why is that?
A big problem when you send manufacturing jobs off to other countries is that they are mostly blue-collar jobs. I don't entirely mean to stereotype, but
manufacturing skews very male. That's just a fact.
Everybody's getting screwed, but I think if you're talking,
I think men on average have it harder, but it's because of men, like plurals, like it's because they're stuck being around men, by and large. And the one reason that being a woman could be easier is because you get to be around other women more readily, you know? Because all the reasons that guys have it rough are it's like gay bullshit. Like, I don't know how to connect to my own feelings and don't know how to connect to other people's feelings and so on and so forth, you know? It's in terms of like just direct attainment and opportunity, it's near parity between the two. But guys are fucking miserable. And it's because they're stuck being who they are, and they're stuck being around. Have you seen straight men interact? Jesus Christ, these people look miserable. I mean, it's all jokes, but like, do these people talk to one another? Like, actually talk? I mean, do they? I'm sure some of them do.
50.01, then I think it'd be men.
Personally, like, including myself, I can think of like 5 or 6 of my friends who are guys who have college degrees and who have not been able to find work since graduating. Some of them even with like advanced degrees. I cannot say the same about any of my girlfriends. I can't think of a single one who's unemployed, you know, and part of it is just like, I think women at this age are naturally risk averse, so they're not gonna like leave a job if they don't have something lined up.
Is that being risk averse, or is that not being stupid? You shouldn't leave a job if you don't have something else lined up. What do you mean? That's not like, yeah, women are just more risk averse. They don't like fucking sticking their hands in blenders that are turned on. What? You shouldn't do that. Barring extenuating circumstances, you should have another job lined up before you quit your current one. I mean, you know, sometimes people take breaks, but yeah, for the most part, you got to be careful with that.
A lot of different factors, but it's just an interesting thing to think about.
Obviously, I work with a lot of people. They tell me about their wages, their job, and women are definitely doing better in terms of like white collar work. But on the lower end, there's people, of course, that are struggling and people that, you know, need help. And then there's people that just have nothing. And, you know, people that just have nothing, I see that being primarily women on the lower end. But we don't have the same opportunity as we used to, like you brought up with manufacturing. I mean, that's a really good.
We're miserable, but not because it's inherent. Come on, Vosh. I never said it was inherent. I never say anything's inherent. It's like the main thing I don't say. It's my primary anti-point, you know? It's not inherent at all. There's no innate reason why guys can't listen. Okay, people just it's like a rule of hospitality. People like waitresses, people like female doctors or whatever. There's literally nothing innate that makes men weird and unpleasant interpersonally sometimes. Okay, it's purely just what people are socialized to be. I think we just have to expect more of men, but that'll be better for them. If you expect more of your kid, in the sense that like you teach them, you're like, no, before you get dessert, you have to wash the dishes. Here's how you do your laundry, so on. They're going to be happier as an adult because you're giving them the skills they need to succeed. If you let your fucking, like, if you're teaching your girl how to do curtsies and do laundry and shit, and then you're teaching your guy how to do nothing, and then they both graduate and one of them can take care of themselves, the girl, and the guy can't, well, then whose fault is that, you know? You should have been harder on the guy. We're hard on guys for the wrong things. We don't make them do chores, but we hit them if they cry when they're 6 years old and their Power Ranger toy got rolled over on the driveway. You know, we need to adjust our expectations a little bit. Everyone gets to cry when the Power Ranger gets rolled over, but you have to do chores. Yeah, we should hit little boys when they don't do the chores. Exactly.
Great point.
I also think when it comes to college education, I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty sure more women go to college nowadays.
It's like 60-40, female, male now.
When you're having jobs that are looking for degrees, the percentage of men that don't have a degree versus the percentage of women that do have a degree probably affects it.
Labour force participation for men has dropped 7% in the last 50 years. A third of men with only a high school education are not working today.
It just feels like women are more functional. Like you see, when guys feel bad or have like a mental health lull, like a lapse in their mental wellness or whatever, they just fucking collapse entirely. And then a lot of women can be doing badly mentally, but they can still, you know, put their shoes on, buckle their belt, and go out and do something, you know? It's kind of like how, and I don't know if this is biological or whatever, it's like how when girls get a cold, they can still like make themselves a meal, but when guys get a cold, they're like, and they like lay in bed all day and they can't do anything. I have no idea what percentage of that is social versus like a pain tolerance thing. I'm guessing it's probably mostly social. It's probably mostly social. Because every time I'm sick, I turn into a baby, but in the back of my head, I'm always thinking, am I doing gender right now? I'm laying in bed. I feel bad. My throat's sore. I'm like, I can't do anything. Can I have soup? But in the back of my head, I'm thinking, can I do something? I feel like I could if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I want to lay there.
Whereas in the 60s, almost all of them were working. And that's partly because male-dominated industries, production, manufacturing, construction, transportation, they've all been particularly vulnerable to a 1-2 punch of more free trade and automation. And loss of a job isn't just about the loss of income. For many decades, being able to find a well-paying job and provide for a family was an essential part of the script that men could...
Look at those high-rise trousers. Testosterone actually does affect your immune system differently. It's not just a gender thing. Okay. I guess you'd know then, right, Tempest? I'll take my shots. Beautiful. It is beautiful. Look at that beautiful straight drape. Look at it. This is wonderful. You know, you take a look at, everyone agrees this looks better than how people dress nowadays. Or not how people dress nowadays. When people are wearing trousers and a shirt, you know, whatever.
Look to for how to be in the world. But now things have changed, both for the better, with women having more career opportunities, but also for the worse, with the middle-class standard of living becoming increasingly difficult to afford, sometimes even on 2 salaries. And the men that I talk to, they say that even though the world's changed, the script hasn't really caught up. It's almost like they're being cast in a modern-day HBO drama with a screenplay from Leave It to Beaver.
You know, Wally, shaving is just one of the
Whoa,
outward
whoa, whoa,
signs
don't
of being a
copyright me.
man.
Don't copyright me.
It's a whole
Stop.
lot more important to
Block.
try to
I'm
be a
blocking.
man inside
Stop.
first.
There's still a feeling of like having to be a provider, despite, you know, the economic situation currently where that's becoming increasing.
I've been wanting to talk about this, but I feel like there's no way for me to talk about it without making a bunch of racist and sexist jokes. Did you guys see that one? There was one guy on Twitter who was like, you know, I'm tired of dating black girls in London. They're always trying to get money from you, and posted a text exchange where a girl was like, oh, you want to take me on a date? Where will you take me? This restaurant that costs a lot, or this restaurant that costs a lot? And then somebody replied and said, I don't think all black women in London are like that. And then there were quote tweets to it, like thousands of people showing screenshots of women trying to fleece them out of money. I don't think they were all black women in London, but like that, literally thousands, like an insane number. And it makes me wonder, man, if I was a straight guy and I was limiting myself to straight women, is this what it would be like out there? Is this what I would be experiencing? Are there really that many girls where you talk to them like a little bit and then they're like, just got my nails done. You gonna cover that? And you're like, I haven't even gone on one date with you. What the fuck are you talking about? Women do be shopping. Women do be shopping for boys, apparently. Never date a straight one, classic mistake. It'll only happen to you if you try to. I don't know. It's crazy. It can't be that common.
Harder,
especially for working class men.
Yeah.
Do you all agree with that? That there is still this expectation on men to be doing well economically?
Absolutely.
Even as it's harder for men to do well economically in many cases?
I think the expectation is there, but I think it's less of an external pressure and more among men. There's a sense of inferiority.
So you think it's more about almost like the competition?
I do, yeah.
But I want to get to this change thing. Maybe, Chris, you and Joel, you both talked about your grandfathers. And I think you both talked about them providing, like, for their family. So how do you think it's different?
It's pretty common to see girls on dating apps say they're looking for a guy to spoil her. I mean, it's basically like a sugar daddy or a sex work thing for a lot of them, right? Like that's basically the implicit exchange where the girl doesn't actually care about having a partner, really. It's just, you know, putting out for financial favors. It can't be that common.
Now, how do you think the expectations on men are different now to they were in your grandfather? Are they better or worse?
Worse, because the economy. You know, things is more expensive now. And our area, the DMV, has a lot to do with it too. Like, this is a high-earning area. Cost of living is through the roof. But since my grandfather growing up down in Georgia, South Carolina, I don't even know what their rent was. It's probably somebody's car insurance up
But
there.
women weren't earning as much back then, right?
Nah,
so they were more reliant on him, probably.
I never seen my grandmother work at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, my grandmother never worked. She was always at the house with me, or if I was in school, and my grandfather made enough money.
So she didn't need him economically in a way, maybe that women hopefully don't today.
She just knew that he was going to take care of everything.
Okay. Hayden?
I think men, yes, due to, you know, chivalry and traditional gender roles. Yeah, they are expected to be providers, but I don't care if my future wife makes more money than me. That doesn't matter.
Do any of you care? Would any of you worry?
I would love that.
I would love that, exactly.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Really? That'd be great.
I'm proposing ASAP.
As long as she's in the union.
Fine answer.
Okay, so this is interesting, right? But then we ask this question: do you think that that the guy should pay on the first date?
Oh yeah, maybe the first few.
On the first date.
Okay,
First
let's explore that.
few,
Let's
you
explore
know.
it. So there's tension here. All of you said you would be quite happy being in a relationship with a woman that earns more than you. But all of you said that you should pay for the first date, and you said, like, that's really interesting to me.
I think it's more of an acknowledgement, like, I've asked you out.
So if she asked you out, it might be the other way around?
I mean, maybe, yeah, if she asked me out, I mean, I don't think that's ever happened to me, but like, if a girl was like, me neither. For whatever reason, I really want you to go out.
It hasn't happened to any of us.
It's fucking rough out here, man. Sheesh.
By the way, so I don't know why we're all laughing.
Men's issues with expectations.
Your thoughts? Dog, I don't fucking know. I don't fuck with straight women or whatever. Even on the dating apps, I still get first likes or messages or whatever on Hinge or Tinder or Grindr. Plenty on Grindr. I don't know. It's like a totally alien experience to me. I can say shit like, you know, well, here's how you talk to women, but I'm talking to like gay. Well, not, they wouldn't be gay, probably. You know, it's a different culture. Okay. It's a different culture. For anthropological reasons, I need to go to like the most heterosexual communities in America and see what's up. You know, it'd further my understanding. Just have a few conversations.
Expectations can work the other way too. In a society following the old gender script, men are not only saddled with expectations, increasingly impossible to meet, but themselves are forced to expect less from certain institutions that are supposed to support everyone.
Why do you think men are struggling so much when competing with women? I just don't think you should be competing. You mean like when compared to women? Women probably have a better social support system, you know? Emotional support structure helps them deal with life's adversities. I feel like a lot of guys mentally are living on the razor's edge, where they're like, you know, my life has nothing in it right now. I'm living the most austere, friendless, like no dopamine life imaginable, but I'm gonna like work out max. I'm gonna take the goddamn, you know, cyclical sleeping pill, and once I get this degree and I get that in the job field, I'm gonna make my 6 figures and then I'm gonna make it work. Like they're always living on the edge, where if things fall apart even a little bit, they can't really pick themselves up and keep at it. They're like, fuck, my life's over, all my plans are over, because they don't have like friends. It's all fine when you've got friends, man. If you've got like a warm circle of friends or whatever, your life can fall apart in a bunch of ways, and you've still got that and you're fine. But if you're living alone in your apartment and you've got nothing, you don't have any hobbies, interests, talents, you're just sort of like numbly walking through life except for this one vision you have, this one plan for the future, then yeah, obviously, if that shit falls apart, your life feels like it's basically over. You know? I think a lot of women just kind of accrue more friends, so it all feels easier, which means they're able to pick themselves up a little bit faster if things actually do go wrong, which, by the way, things will always go wrong. Like, that's just inevitable. You know, when a man plans, God laughs, you know? You can't live your life that way, you know?
They're going to put you on the spot here a bit, Darren, because I know from some of the prep calls that you had some difficulties within a relationship. So we're here talking about dating, but let's talk about how relationships can end.
Do you think dating app culture encourages guy to have something to bring to the table in the absence of a natural prior relationship? I don't know, man. I feel like in my experiences in the dating app, you just have to meet up with somebody and be kind of funny. Listen, girls like it when a guy's a little clown-pilled, you know? You got to honk your red nose at her. That's I don't know. Like, what do you bring into a first date? Your 401k? Your long-term investment plans? You just can't take it too seriously. Just have a good time with somebody. You know, hang out. Fuck. If you guys get along, maybe you'll get married in 2 years or 5. Whatever. Just saying. Like, I feel like if you're dating to marry, I think you're a psychopath. I should say, if you're first dating to marry, I think you're a psychopath. If you're dating, like, a specific person to marry, that's fine. That's normal. But if you're out there thinking about marriage, like, every time you meet a new person, that's fucking crazy. In my opinion. You know, whatever you want, whatever you're into, okay? But like, that to me is insane. That's crazy.
Some personal experience with that, if you'd be willing to share.
It was an awful situation, honestly, because she actually ended up like assaulting me. So I have like a bite mark. I even recorded it.
That's not good.
She had whipped me with like a hair blow dryer before. And, you know, I showed it to the judge to try to get a protective order. And, you know, he just laughed at the fact that I was taking back a hairdryer because obviously I don't have any hair. But you know, as a judge, when I'm saying, hey, this person assaulted me, you know, a domestic violence situation, for him to like make that comment was really painful. And ultimately, I got denied the protective order, and
Jesus, that fucking sucks.
She was able to stay in the house and, you know, just continue being around me after assaulting me, after emotionally and mentally tormenting me this whole time.
It sounds like you feel like the courts didn't treat you fairly.
Not at all. I had blood on my arm when I went into the, to go get my protective order against her, and they said this is gonna last for a day. She, 2 days before she moved out, put a protective order on me saying that I was making Instagram posts about her. I was sleeping on the couch this whole time. She said I was busting in her door every day, verbally harassing her, and the judge took that and said, okay, great. Your protective order is granted for 7 days like that. And like I said, I walked in with blood on my arm and got one for 1 day.
Darren's story is emblematic, I think, of the problems on one side of the political stalemate over issues of sex and gender. Liberals refuse to accept that gender gaps can now run both ways. And
I think even some of the more obnoxious woke liberals would acknowledge that DV accusations against women are very often not taken seriously if they're from men. I think everyone, but I think liberals, conservatives, leftists, I think pretty much everyone would agree with that in the abstract. The main difference is that conservatives will say, this is fucked up. Nobody takes domestic violence against men seriously. And then when a guy says he's been DV'd by a woman, they'll go, ha ha ha, you fucking pussy bitch. A woman hit you? Ha 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 ha. So there's a bit of an inconsistency there, but yeah.
they're too quick to label male problems as individual failings, symptoms of toxic masculinity. Conservatives, on the other hand...
I feel like basically anyone would be sympathetic to that guy's story, unless it was a conservative kind of performatively being chauvinist, you know?
And do appear to be more sensitive to the struggles of boys and men, but too often as a justification for turning back the clock and restoring traditional roles. So the left turns its back on boys and men, and the right turns back the clock on women and girls. As you can imagine, these guys had a lot to say about both of these problems.
I don't like both sizing it too much. The left has definitely had issues with like performative misandry, but this is not an equal and opposite issue, right? Like the right on anything involving gender parity, the right will make 50,000 bad points for every one good point. And the left, I mean, there are people who do the performative misandry thing to be sure, but they're not institutionally powerful, right? These like femcel types that talk about how, you know, all women or all men should be raped and killed. Like these people don't have any, you know.
What I'll say about Democrats not only abandoning men, but I also think they kicked them into the curb and spit on them. You're telling men not to be men. You're telling men they can't watch football because it's sexist or UFC because it's sexist.
It must suck to be a conservative guy and to feel like the walls are coming down around you because of shit you've read online from other conservatives. That's crazy. I can't imagine having that kind of victim mentality.
Yeah, men are into fighting. That's why Trump is there. You know, because Trump isn't abandoned us.
The Democratic Party has abandoned men. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Does everyone else?
Yeah.
But I think what's worse is the Republican Party actively lying to men. They play the culture war. They don't want to talk about who could actually be exploiting them, like billionaires, corporations.
I do think you could fairly argue that the Democratic Party has given up on straight men. And my evidence to that point is that even though straight men make up a significant portion of the population, there are shockingly few of them in a bunch of the consultancy circles that Democratic politicians rely on, especially straight white men, right? Like I'm pretty sure Kamala Harris's primary comms team was it primary Harris's comms team after she began running? It was 9 people, of whom 1 was a straight white man. Maybe it was 0 were a straight white man. They're underrepresented. And it is crazy to think that there's like a politically powerful field where straight white men are underrepresented, but it's also true. And I think that's because within the Democratic Party, they don't really, you know, again, it's like Hamilton liberalism, right? It's like liberal woke, you know? Liberal woke is like the Huffington Post editorial board being made up entirely of white women. And they're like, look at how progressive we are. There's not a single man here, but also basically everyone there is white. Not black or brown. It's just very empty. It's very empty. It's not because they hate straight white men. It's just I don't know. They're girl bossing it up.
Like, trans people are not hiking my credit card interest rates. Well, they did not keep my wages stagnant. You're focusing on the wrong 1%.
You're a right-wing man, Joel. What do you think?
I was going to say...
Just threw you under the bus.
To your point, yeah. I'm sorry, man. I had to get that out, man. I had to. It's an open forum. It's an open forum.
Go on.
Yeah, I might have to say a point against...
Speaking as a transphobe.
Speaking as a transgender myself. But, no.
Yeah, crazy.
No,
he does have tits.
No, the point you made earlier about how sort of the working class people on both sides, there really is no need to hate each other. I was thinking about that recently. The divide in America really should be class. You know, work versus, you know, the elite. I can't see...
People love to say this, and then to say Trump is saving white men by going to the UFC because he's the one president that won't abandon us. People love to say shit like that and then talk about class war over culture war.
Any conceivable way how in 2024 black people and white people can hate each other, or Mexicans or Latinos or whoever to hate each other. Really, we should be hating the people making us hate each other.
Yes.
Now you can call it the Illuminati or Hydra. I call them Democrats, but besides that, no, I'm kidding.
We're not cutting the corporate tax rate and giving them the ability to exploit their workers, but
on the culture point, though, right? Wouldn't you say it does go both ways?
In which regard?
Don't you think on the left there could be a bit of a tendency to get women to blame men? It's patriarchy, it's toxic masculinity.
I'm not disagreeing with that at all.
Isn't there an argument that it's actually equally true on the left?
I wouldn't say it's equal. I would say
gender.
I would say the right absolutely plays more into the culture war than the left does.
I would say the reason why we do that now is if you look at, I'd say the 90s to the early 2000s, the right, the Republicans at least, weren't playing into the culture war thing. So we lost. We lost for a long time. And honestly, I think
in the 90s and 2000s? During the Iraq War? What? I don't... It's one of those opinions that's so fractally incorrect that it would take forever to unpack, and you know the person said it without thinking, so I don't know.
We still might... I think we did lose, and I think it's going to take a while for sort of Judeo-Christian morals to come back into the, you know, over 50%.
How would you know if they had come back?
I guess we're so open nowadays. Would kind of be a way to describe it. You know, we aren't...
Like, unironically, a big part of the reason why men are struggling is because there are a lot of guys like him. Seriously, I think that's... Like, you can distill it pretty well to that, you know? It fucks everything up.
In ancient Judea 2,000 years ago, in a way, you know, which I think is fine. I think it's the world we live in. I don't need women covering themselves.
Well, very few people would want to go back to.
No, I don't want to either. I like America.
So let me ask you, whether you think the Democrats or the Republicans speak best to men right now?
I'd probably say the Republicans. I really can't answer it because I don't pay attention. None of them affect me. But I see more of the Republicans, whatever they're talking about, because Trump and Vance and them.
This video came out 5 months ago. I wonder if this guy has reviewed his position that politics doesn't affect him personally after the SNAP cuts and the Medicaid cuts. Because something tells me that this guy is not, pardon me for my classism, I just get a feeling this guy might be relying on the government a little bit to keep his fridge full. I wonder if anything's changed since this was recorded in his head.
You know, they just put themselves out there. They're more direct. You see Joe Biden is just some old guy. You can barely hear him. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what the hell he's talking about. And then you got Trump, who's going to come direct, more just to where I understand it.
I do agree that I feel like Republicans or conservatives have signaled to men, younger men, you have a place here. If you come with us, you'll have fun. You know, you can be expressive. You can open yourself. You don't have to.
That is true. That's 100% true. Republicans give young men a narrative and a way to cut loose online. This is why, like, I think that you have kind of a two-hump camel a little bit, where online, the most aggressive male posters are either on the right or they're on what would have been called the dirtbag left. Like, there are a lot of people who are kind of in the, like, Cumtown, Chapo sphere, or I guess previous Cumtown, whatever, but guys who are far enough to the left that they're getting a bit silly with it, and now they get to be as vindictive online as they want. Some of the most, like, aggressive, obnoxious, but fun, right, people online, or on Twitter specifically, because that's where I am, right, are lefty shit posters. You know? But in order to reach that point, you have to be far left enough. Because I ask you, how many genuinely incisive male liberal shit posters are there? There are literally like 100 million liberal guys in this country. Where are they? There's like none. There's like none. There's like none, man. Does Kyle count as liberal? No. We're talking about mannerisms here. Kyle Kalinske, he's fucking more aggro than anyone. You know what I'm talking about here, right? The Republican Party gives young men a way to cut loose online. The Democratic Party does not. What is Schumer or Jeffries doing to help people go out there and you know, cut loose with the catharsis, right? It's not happening. Matt Iglesias isn't a shit poster. You people are just saying stuff.
Be polite. You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not. You know, you don't have to be restrained. I don't believe it's the way that they funnel men into this corner is the best. I mean, you'll watch a video on YouTube about working out, and then Andrew Tate will pop up eventually, and then you know, some more right-wing comedian will pop up, and then you'll have, you know, Joe Rogan, and then you'll have Ben Shapiro, and then you'll just be exposed to this whole manosphere.
When Woke 2 happens, we will build a throne on the skulls of Woke 1, okay? Or from the skulls of Woke 1. There are elements of Woke 1 we cannot take with us to Woke 2, right? The virtue signaling, the purity testing, the performative disavowal of others. That, like, we need to stay mean. We gotta be lean. We gotta be mean. Yeah, no more of that woke scolding bullshit, okay? There's no more room for that. No more room for that. Yeah, you can't be a humorless little narcissist who weaponizes the language of social justice to go after everyone who you feel socially threatened by. Fuck that, okay? We need to keep silly with it.
This term, the Joe Rogan of the left that they need. When Joe Rogan is sort of left. He endorsed Bernie Sanders in 2016 and 2020.
All I've seen in my lifetime is Democrats conceding more and more and more and more.
Especially on men's issues,
Especially on men's issues. And they're just, like, you know, slowly, like, shrinking the circle of issues that they actually care about to align with things that aren't going to get their donors pissed off at them, you know? I love the point, though, about Joe Rogan endorsing Bernie Sanders twice, because anytime somebody who appeals to young men across the board rises to a level where they might actually reach any sort of real power, Democrats just kneecap them.
The Democrats don't have a narrative when the Republicans do. The Republicans are immigrants, trans...
Mars Stranded. I've been doing this a lot lately, but today you've been selected. Congratulations. You're this website's daily 10,000th visitor. Not even. It's been more than that, I imagine. It's been a big day. You're getting the eye directed towards you. You've been nice to me. Look, here's you being nice to me. I need to respond to what you're engaging in, which I think I would call kind of uninformed cynicism here. Is there any evidence that either side actually cares about anyone? Is it at all performative BS to get votes and money? All politicians hate all of you. I don't get it. Who's honestly stupid enough to believe any of this? The powers that be are going to do what matches the curve. They don't care about you. Listen, okay? Politicians are just one leaf dancing in the wind. Okay? After a great gust has knocked 1,000 leaves off the tree. All right? They're just a part of a broader atmosphere. There's no hierarchy, no real hierarchy, no pure hierarchy. There's no people on top. Some people are higher up than others, but no one's controlling all of this, right? Real power in the long run is cultural power, it's social power, especially in a country like this, where everything is so, you know, bureaucratic, sort of rooted in systemic review. You know, everything that has to be pushed forward through Congress, through law, whatever else, there's a bureaucratic procedure for it. Real lasting power is cultural, you know. Politicians often are insincere, but they often also blow with the wind like a leaf in the wind. And moreover, they're still real people. Like, they are real people. Even the really disingenuous ones are real people, you know? They're shaped by their environments. They're receptive to specific issues and talking points. When your cynicism reduces you to these positions, this like, well, man, the elites don't care about you. Sure, and they never have, and they never will. But it's not about them caring about you. That's not the battle we're fighting. We're not fighting this battle to make the big boys love us, okay? I don't give a shit how the big boys feel about me specifically, or you, or any of us. What we're talking about really are incentive structures. How do you get people to do the things you want them to do and like doing it? How do you get them to want to do those things? You know, it's one thing to force a person to do something. If you have more power than they do, sure, fine, but that's not sustainable in the long run, and you have to keep that up, you know? You want people to want to do the things that you want them to want to do. Messaging? Yeah, messaging's a big part of it. When it comes to this stuff, right, the gender war, whatever, a big part of it is cultural, you know? And culture, it flows up, not the other way around, you know? There's kind of a convection current to it, right? You get reflections in, it's like this one thing I saw in a documentary. It's true, right? You know, and it happens in all kinds of ways. It's like how MSNBC became an inaccurate pantomime of youth culture in America. Because where does sorry, did I say MSNBC? MTV. Because where does MTV get its cues on what youth culture looks like? They look at the youth. But where do the youth go to learn how they should behave? Well, they went to MTV. So you get this this feedback loop where eventually both versions of both halves of the engagement become inauthentic copies of one another. They become flanderized, they hyperbolize until eventually the system breaks and no one takes MTV seriously anymore. Now everyone sees it for what it is, corporate slop. This happened decades ago, but it was a real process at the time. Basically, what I'm getting at here is, you know, it's not about them caring about you, okay? That's not the battle. Put the thing in the thing.
People, a bunch of minority communities, they're the reason why your life is bad. The Democrats don't have that. They have, oh, we're going to tinker around the edges of the status quo.
Well, wouldn't they say that it's the billionaires, it's the oligarchs?
I don't think the corporate wing of the party would.
They're sitting in the room.
Yeah, they're sitting in the room. The Democrats have as much corporate money as the Republican Party does.
Do you think that the Democrats have become too much the women's party?
I don't even think you can really say that. Like, I think there are probably more women that vote Democrat than men.
That's true. Absolutely true.
But I think Democrats are just completely empty and lack any real spine when it comes to any issues whatsoever.
Well, that's true. Also, the Democratic Party does absolutely 100% go out of its way to cater to women. They absolutely do. No, the Democratic Party does not leave within itself any room for what I would call, I guess, performative masculinity, toxic or otherwise. There is lots of performative femininity, from the girl boss talking points of Hillary Clinton and you know, Kamala Harris to God, everything on The View. Honestly, geez, you know, they don't really give you much to hook on to.
Republicans, they do the things they campaigned on. For better or worse, I think most of the policies they implement are just objectively evil and create more human suffering than, you know, we already have. But they actually do them, and it speaks to voters. If you're the kind of person that thinks illegal immigrants are causing all the problems in this country, then you like what's going on right now. You like that people are being randomly kidnapped off the street.
There's an authenticity to it.
They're not telling you one thing and doing another. Democrats, on the other hand,
I think I largely agree with it. Yeah. I mean, the Republicans lie, but at the very least, like, they tend to be pretty upfront and straightforward about the evil stuff that they want to do. You know, there's a relationship between what they say and what they do. Whereas with the Democrats, right, you know, you're who the fuck knows in a lot of cases.
Tell you that they want to do all these progressive things. They tell you they support, lowering the cost of healthcare and education. They tell you they support, raising the minimum wage. And then what happens when they get in office? Biden.
Now Republicans lie way more. They lie more, but having watched my stream a while, don't we have so much easier of a time reading the Republicans, their intentions, what they're trying to do, than the Democrats? Schumer and Jeffries are like steel cages up here, man. They say stuff, they do stuff, what, who know, why this, why that, oh my God, I don't know what they want. Do they even want to win? Do they even want to win? Republicans want to win, It's an easier time predicting their actions because, they're evil, sure, at least that gives you some kind of metric to judge what they're going to do. It's a kind of lying.
Can't even get his own senators to approve raising the minimum wage from $7.25 an hour. Like, the fact that that's still the federal minimum wage in this year, 2025, is a joke.
What they were talking about really was a sense of authenticity. There's a high degree of respect among men, I think especially for young men, for men who say what they think and stand by it.
He's been insanely consistent his entire life. He's basically been saying the same thing, been for the same thing his whole life.
That kind of codes as
talking about
a
Bernie
masculine
there,
virtue.
The Republicans, they have co-opted masculinity and they've politicized it. You see it in UFC. Like I'm on the left. I like watching UFC. I think it's very entertaining. I think it's a very skill-filled sport. But I don't want to see Trump and RFK.
It was incredibly stupid that Kamala Harris basically ignored the podcasting circuit. She didn't go on Joe Rogan. She could have gone on a bunch, but she ignored them. The one podcast she was willing to do was that Call Me Daddy one, which was like big gay male female audience, right? Like there was like one, the Call Her Daddy ones. The one she did, and it was like a girl coded one, It's like, oh, it's okay, Kamala. I think you're already getting the female vote.
Jr. and nerdy Mike Johnson walking to the octagon. Like, people...
You kind of do want to see Mike Johnson do that.
I don't want to see him anywhere.
Nowhere has all of this mess played out more than in one...
Oh yeah, Marstrand did a big part of being involved in politics and having to deal with that emotionally. And for me, it's one of the most difficult parts is reconciling with the fact that a lot of people are just genuinely retarded and full of hate. Like, not even retarded in an endearing way, but they're wretched people, and they're stupid, and they're self-destructive, and they would kill you and themselves if they were told that, they'd get a cookie for it. It's unfortunately, it's always going to be like that. It's just the human condition. Incurious, belligerent. Yeah, no, people are truly wretched, but they're also, they're the only thing worth fighting for in this fucking cold rock we've got, okay? It's very much like listen, okay? It's the human condition or the cold vacuum of space. And for me personally, I don't know. I don't think I'd fare too well out there. My skill set here as a live streamer, not up there. I'll take what I can get.
Specific phrase. What do you think of the term toxic masculinity? Good and useful term or a bad and unhelpful term?
Who's answering that?
I'm just going to see who wants to take toxic masculinity.
I love the term because it triggers low IQ men. Honestly, it's the look, either it's an IQ test. You pass and you're fine with it, or you fail and you get weird and belligerent and angry about it, and that's it. Like, it's fun for that reason,
This is how we find out who's the most toxic.
Well, I hope I ain't too toxic, but for me, I don't even believe in nothing like that. I believe a man is supposed to be a man. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be masculine. Man. No matter if another man feels offended by it, everybody ain't gonna respect you. Everybody ain't gonna like you. If a woman's saying that a man's doing too much or something, he's just trying to be a man,
Or he might be being a jerk or a predator or whatever.
So what do they mean by toxic masculinity?
Well, that's the question.
Okay, yeah, I never understood it.
At one point, this term toxic masculinity had a very narrow and concrete, quite academic definition. And it wasn't actually created by kind of liberal academic elites. It came from a group of men, specifically men driven by a kind of spiritual movement in the 80s and 90s that was a response to feminism in many ways. Until around 2015, the phrase warranted just a few footnotes, really, in academic journals. But with the rise of Donald Trump and the Me Too movement, progressives brought this term toxic masculinity into everyday use. Suddenly it was everywhere, thousands of mentions, impossible to ignore. but the term's very rarely defined, and it now seems to refer to any male behavior that the user of the term disapproves of, from the
It's real. Is it really? Man, I feel like the definition's pretty clear cut, right? If you're doing something that's archetypically masculine, right? Like an archetypically masculine trait, but it's producing bad outcomes. You know? So like maybe it's masculine to be independent, you know, like independent minded a bit. Okay, whatever, right? But then maybe it's toxic masculine if you refuse to ask for help no matter what. It's masculine to be kind of, you know, confident. It's toxic masculine to be domineering, right? Like you're bowling over everyone. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like it's that difficult. Toxic femininity is a thing for sure. You could, like, for instance, maybe like being polite is a feminine virtue, but being sort of like a doormat isn't. That'd be toxic, right? Mean girl shit, you know? I don't know.
tragic to the trivial. Toxic masculinity has been blamed, among other things, for mass shootings, gang violence, rape, online trolling, climate change, the financial crisis, Brexit, the election of Donald Trump.
And all of it is correct. These are really, really easy to tie back to. Like, all of these are a pretty straight shot. 100%. Yeah.
Even an unwillingness to wear a mask during the COVID-19.
Yeah, they were making that case for themselves. They were like, I'm a manly man. I don't need to take rules and muzzle myself with no mask. Yeah, that's retarded. It's a disease.
Pandemic.
Vaguely speaking, it's overused. I mean, they said the term boys will be boys is offensive now in the same sort of way. And it's like, you know, guys want to drink and punch each other. I don't get how that's toxic. I mean, I can sort of get.
No, you don't. Quit with this gay fucking like artificial media constructed. You don't do that shit. Okay? You're a doughy, chunky, like nerd computer guy. That's fine, man. Quit pretending. Yeah, you know how guys are. We just like to drink whiskey and punch stuff. No, you don't. You would find that unpleasant. Which is fine. That's fine. I'm not shaming you for that, okay? I don't want to drink and punch stuff. And I used to box. I mean, that was fun. I mean, I guess in that context it was fun. But I don't even drink. Too many calories. I'm just like, it's so performative. You're doing it for the other men here.
The idea of, you know, when Prohibition was coming to America, the idea is that the man makes the money, and instead of spending on his family, he spends it on whiskey. You're like, oh, and then he beats his wife. Like, yeah, I guess that's being toxically masculine, but I don't think that a wholesale exists anymore. I just think it's a term.
Guys don't beat their wives anymore? Wait, what? You provided a correct example of a real thing, and then you're like, well, no one does that anymore. There's no domestic violence anymore. Okay. Congratulations, everyone. I didn't realize that we were done with it. I assumed it was still an issue.
Yeah, to put down men who want to be men. I'm not into makeup. That might be shocking.
That's just toxic.
That's just toxic. That's just regular toxic.
Before 2016.
We're like pandering to this guy. Don't want to do makeup. Who the fuck? Who's ever told you not doing makeup is toxic masculinity? Nobody's told you this. Nobody's ever told you this. Ever. This never happened in your life.
For this dressed up word, you know, you'd have this guy's an asshole. You know, he's overly aggressive. He's just, way too forward, or he's creepy, or whatever it might be. So you call him an asshole, you call him weird, you know, whatever. But now it's toxic masculinity, and then there's like a whole bunch of other opinions that people can just lump into toxic masculinity. But when you call someone an asshole, you kind of just know what they're talking about.
They
right
need to
there.
go back to just saying that. That's a lot easier.
Say that again.
They should just go back to just calling guys a-holes. Like,
I'd like to be called. So, conclusion of this debate, everyone's an asshole.
We should just
no one's toxic.
I really wish we could do an interview with guys like this where the interviewer was less concerned with smoothing over everyone's feelings. You know, with like a play it off kind of joke. I'd like to see some interrogation.
accomplished.
I don't find this response from the guys here surprising at all. Very few men or boys are going to react well to the idea that there's something toxic inside of them.
That's not what toxic masculinity. That's not what that means. Why are you? What? More perfect union. Why are you lying about the definition? Toxic masculinity doesn't mean masculinity is toxic. Toxic is an adjective to describe the masculinity. So even if you are masculine, that doesn't mean you're toxic, man. That'd be like saying, you know, because a person could be like, well, your hand has shit on it. You have a beshitted hand. What, now everyone with hands got shit on it? I'm sorry, I'm pretty tired. That was pretty weak, guys. You understand my point? Nobody arguing the definition of toxic masculinity is saying it should mean, oh, well, every man is toxic. That doesn't mean anything.
Be exorcised.
It's just weird to me. What More Perfect Union is like a lefty channel. Why lie about the definition?
I didn't try to raise my sons to be not toxic. That's not a very empowering message.
What are you talking about? You might not have used the word toxic, but you probably taught them important moral lessons. Like you shouldn't punch people because you're angry, right? Like, you don't have to use the word toxic. The term toxic masculinity it's an academic term. It describes a phenomena.
I think if anything, it's the opposite, that the term toxic masculinity will sort of drive more boys and men away.
Is this a right-wing channel? Am I off on is More Perfect Union Strasserist? Is this like a Blue Dog Democrat channel? What is this?
To the online manosphere, where they'll be reassured at least that there's nothing wrong with them and it's actually the liberals who are out to get them.
Listen, if you're a guy and you come across the term toxic masculinity and you get offended, genuine, there's no two ways about it. You are retarded and you're very insecure. I'm not cushioning that in any way. Flat out, you failed the IQ test, okay? Read a fucking book or Google the definition. Like, stop, like, Jesus Christ, you're outsourcing your thinking to the world's stupidest grifters, okay? This is a you fucking problem. Yeah, and a lot of people are retards. Look, let me tell you this, okay? There's a big grifter industrial complex out there. There is absolutely no way to criticize any bad element about any group of people without somebody telling you, oh, you're only alienating them by doing that. Fuck that. I don't think so little of men that I assume that literally any cultural critique has to be met with a bunch of like disingenuous ball coddling first, you know? That's fucking ridiculous. They don't do it. Imagine if Sargon of Akkad was like, actually, I won't criticize Muslims who come to the West and rape little girls, because if I did that, I would only be stigmatizing the behavior and discouraging Muslims who come to the West from listening to me. Do you think he believes that in all cases? Do you think he, in all instances, he thinks it's a good idea to avoid criticizing bad behavior because it alienates the people you're trying to reach? Ridiculous.
But also, at a deeper level, what this means is that we miss the opportunity to address the real structural problems facing many boys and men, when instead we focus on the toxic flaws in those individual men. So if they're
generalized statement that means nothing. This means nothing. What do you mean? We can't talk about general issues men are experiencing. Toxic masculinity also negatively affects the guys they're the primary victims. Easy for you to say as a fairly self-actualized 30-something. A lot of 12-year-old boys are absolutely vulnerable to hearing shit like toxic masculinity and taking it at face value as an indictment of men. They would take any criticism. Listen, you can't not teach guys about toxic masculinity because you're afraid of them getting offended. Do we not teach them virtue? You can't say it's wrong to hit people when you're mad at them. That'll alienate guys. What do you mean? They don't listen. The term toxic masculinity is an academic thing. Are we we permit bad behavior? We can't teach virtue. The problem is that there is a grifter complex of people who make their money off of soothing the egos of retarded, emotionally damaged 12-year-old boys who are incels to be. Okay? This is a cultural issue that needs fixing. But I reject the idea that like, well, yeah, no, yeah, like, well, you can't teach slavery in schools. You'll make the white boys uncomfortable. What are you talking about? I don't know. I just want to say things that are true. It is true that if you think it's masculine to beat your wife, that's bad. That's true. Morally, to me, that's a pretty easy yes that it's bad.
Depressed, we say it's because they don't express their feelings. If men get sick,
insane comparison. It's the same though. It's exactly the same argument. Don't bring up toxic masculinity because you're going to alienate young men and make them feel bad for general problems. It's the same argument as you shouldn't teach about slavery in school because you're trying to make young white people feel bad and make them feel guilty about general problems. It's exactly the same argument, you know?
it's because they won't go to the doctor. If they fail at school, it's because they don't try hard enough. And that's a very far cry from how the term was originally meant to be used.
I think the term itself comes from a good intention, which is like, how can we create a healthier society for everyone involved? I think most of us would agree that there's a severe mental health problem in this.
I really don't like how confidently this host dismisses the validity of the term without even providing a definition. Like, the definition he implied was wrong, you know? I don't know. I think the problem with this term I've just misdefined is that we're not applying it correctly and it causes more harm than good. You're contributing to the culture of it being more harmful than good. You're reaffirming the tendency for people to hear it and instantly assume it means a criticism of all men. It's ridiculous.
And a lot of the time it manifests itself in men.
80% of suicide,
right, the suicide rate, the rates of addiction, rates
much higher among men.
Much higher.
I'd like to dig in a bit more on just how the mental health issues are kind of playing out differently for men and women. I mean, I shared some stats earlier around the much higher suicide rates among men. Actually, it's gone up most among young men. It's really men under 30 where we've seen the rise. The rise in drug poisoning deaths has been mostly men. Substance abuse is mostly men. And so it's not to say there aren't issues that go the other way, but I'd just like any more reflections that you've got on how you think the mental health stuff is playing out. We talked a bit about the lack of male psychologists and your counselor. So maybe we should start with you, Ed, and talk a bit about your own experience.
Yeah, so I'm in recovery. I'm sober. I've been sober from primarily alcohol. For 2.5 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's a little tough being a 24-year-old in recovery, having the weird eyes and the weird questions.
Well, I haven't had a drink for 5 years. It's not much easier in your 50s.
Oh, congrats. Nice.
Thank you.
But no, it was just, I'd gone through personally a whole, string of personal losses, and unfortunately, I turned to alcohol to cope with my issues mentally, emotionally, and physically. And I needed all the help I could get.
I think that the whole area of mental health gets, if we're not careful, it gets coded as a bit female.
Oh boy. But Vosh, isn't that how trigger words work? It's not, there aren't trigger words. It's just a random academic term that gets brought up over and over and over again and maliciously misused by the right, including by this guy, in an effort to falsely give the impression that criticism of bad tendencies is an innate criticism of men, which is misandristic, by the way. It's misandry to say that. At the end of the day, virtue needs to be taught. There are elements of femininity and masculinity that are bad, all right? Like the way they express themselves at times are bad. That's the case with everything. Literally all archetypes, all personality traits, everything that can be it exists on a spectrum from good to bad. There are various ways of doing it. Some are better than others. That has to be acknowledged, whatever term people want to use. But like, at the end of the day, again, this is a grift issue, okay? The only reason 90% of young men hear the term toxic masculinity, they're not reading the Huffington Post or the Guardian. They're hearing it because they're watching some retarded pedophile on YouTube explain to them how feminists want all men to be killed or whatever. They're hearing it from people who have a financial incentive to lie to them. Yeah, same with critical race theory. Same with all these terms. Like, don't pretend it's the term itself. People willfully lie about it because they make money from packaging the insecurity of young men and running with it, Yes, and those retarded pedophiles define the semantic meaning of the phrase. right, because they lie about it, sure, but they do that with everything, including critical race theory. They say, you know, DEI is anti-white. I mean, do we let them define everything? We can't use anything ever because people on the right will lie about it?
Yeah.
It's what women do. The websites look quite female.
Boys don't cry, all that stuff, you know, puff out your chest kind of shit. I don't know. Boys can't go to therapy. I think everybody in their life should go to therapy. They should try it once.
Like Darren said, most of the medical fields are all women.
Well, it's certainly shifting that way. And mental, and like psychology, therapy, social work, they're just becoming massively more female. Jobs like these, increasingly dominated by women, fall into the industries that I call HEAL: health, education, administration, and literacy.
Haven't these industries always been dominated by women? I don't know if that trend has been going up or down lately. I don't know how much it shifted.
If we're going to do right by the men in our society, we need to both protect workers in traditionally male industries and help men adapt to current economic realities by encouraging them to transition into these HEAL jobs. We know a lot about STEM initiatives for women, and they've helped massively. We've tripled the share of STEM workers who are women. But we now need the same type of mass effort for young men to encourage them into education and health.
Yeah, but the difference is women wanted to be scientists. They were just discouraged from it because there was a bunch of rooted sexism in academia. Men can be nurses. They just don't want to because they think it's gay. Like that's the imbalance, right? Like that's the problem, you know. It's like guys can be air hosts if they want, you know, air stewards. You've got kind of there's a difference in how they approach these issues, you know.
I'm very proud of the fact that my son is a 5th grade teacher. And gender gaps can't be addressed without also addressing class gaps. While the gender pay gap has narrowed by 19 percentage points in the last 40 years, the class pay gap between the top and the middle has widened by 12 percentage points. There's a moment really I want to leave you with, stuck with me and I found inspiring. After we'd wrapped up, the 5 young men who disagreed with each other pretty strongly, they sat and shared a bite to eat, exchanged numbers, and they just hung out with each other, not as representatives of different political ideologies or as enemies, but as fellow young men trying to figure things out. And as we discussed, a lot of young men don't have a script anymore for how they should be in the world. Quite often they know what they shouldn't do, but they don't know what they should do. And so what we need now are some new economic and social scripts which allow for a positive vision of masculinity that is also compatible with gender equality.
A positive version of masculinity. So almost like the opposite of another non-positive kind of masculinity, one might say. I'll have to stew on that one.
If we're going to write a new script for men that matches modern society, it's not going to come out of finding the perfect influencer. It's going to come out of messy conversations like this one. So thank you for...
Again, the problem is that, like, they're not really messy conversations. There was one person in this room who was correct, and well, no, there were actually 2.5 people who were correct, and then there were people who were very, very wrong. It's not really messy conversation, you know. Like I don't know. You have to shame people for being wrong, and we just need to be meaner to people, basically. I don't want to reach out across the aisle. Listen, my enthusiasm for reaching out across the aisle on this particular issue died out so much when we all had to endure a solid 18-month period where the #1 guy in the manosphere, Andrew Tate, was just openly a sex trafficker who said rape was good and women were dogs. And we all just had to live in that world. I mean, past like the idea, like it's just conversations we have to have. Oh, sorry, here's the new discourse. Here's the new zeitgeist that you have to contend with. This is what we're talking about now. Fuck you. Jesus Christ, you just have to shame people. Like, seriously, like, you should, if there's like a guy who's into Tate, no one is anymore because these people pop up and fall off like, you know, fucking, it's crazy. My career has been more stable and lasted longer than like 8 waves of manosphere bullshit, you know, which is insane to think about. But like, you see people who get caught into this, you don't want to debate them because they don't want to fucking debate either. They just want to rape people, or at least like virtue signal to other men, or vice signal that they'd be like totally cool with it, you know? You can't, And by the way, I really don't think a lot of them even believe it, okay? It's like when the incel neo-Nazis online talk about how much they wish they could be doing the Holocaust or whatever. No, you don't, dude. No, you don't. You would throw up if you saw a corpse in real life. You probably have Jewish friends. You are vice signaling to impress other incels online. I do not. You're a fake demon. You're a fucking fake demon, dude. If they gave you a gun and 6 million Jews, you know, squatted against a wall, you would throw up and shoot yourself. You don't have the... You want to play video games. You want a cute girl to kiss you on the head. Okay? Fuck off. None of you people want the shit you say you want. You're all just vice signaling. Anyway, finish the video.
That matches modern society is not going to come out finding the perfect influencer. It's going to come out of messy conversations. Like,
oh, wait, I already did this. Okay, fuck. This made me more mad than I thought it would. Well, at least now the second stream wasn't an hour. Okay. Good hustle. Time to read donos. Yes, sir. B. Summers and He Hurts, thank you for the tier 1 subs. Really appreciate that. Bugsy Segal, thank you for the $20. That all for today, or should I be waiting for the release? We'll wait to see when Trump signs it. Maybe he'll say something funny when he does. Lavatristo, thank you for the incredibly kind $20. Really appreciate that. Keep an eye on Hartzell Gray. He's a Kansas City DSA member running for Congress and is beating the Dem right now in the early polls. The devil I know, but he's cool. Love the content. Well, I haven't heard the name. Thank you. Very, very happy to take the chance and learn about more people, you know? A Bald One, thank you for the incredibly kind $25. Overtime wages for your late night stream. Put it towards a new keyboard, mechanical to make chat happy. I want a quiet one. I want a quiet one. I want to hear that shit coming across the country. Fuck that. I hate the loud keyboards. I don't want the microphone picking that up because I don't want you guys being able to hear the way I type. Click, click, clack, click, 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 clack, click, click, clack. I don't want you making fun of me. Treff, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Vent CG, thank you for the $5. Beezus Christ 123, hate you too, buddy. Thanks for the tier 2 sub. The Worstamilly, thank you for the tier 2 sub as well. Thank you, thank you. Lee Farr and Oceans Over Alyssa, thank you for the $5 both. Good luck voting on your union contract today, Oceans Over Alyssa. Hope it went well. Lee Farr, thank you for the additional $5. Former Square Enix exec claims Gen Z loves AI slop in games. Maybe he'll end up being right. Vosh, did you not take typing class in school? Render, did you not take algebra? Oh, forgot all of it? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my apologies. Didn't mean to bring... Oh, you were such a gifted kid back then, too. Fuck you. Yeah, I took typing class. And then like 90% of the information that I absorbed back then, I replaced it with more relevant shit to my day-to-day life. Legit Box and Ghost Monbear with the $5 both. Really appreciate that. Do you think monetizable mods on games like Minecraft are a bad thing? No, not at all. If a person wants to be paid for the mod they've made, that's based. Getting mad at them for that is like giant pussy shit. What, they put out work? You have the choice to pay for the work to enjoy it? You would enjoy it if you got it? But you're mad that they want money for it? It takes time. Periphera Proficient, thank you for the $10. Unanimous consent. Broke an expensive piece of government hardware today, so consider this a tax refund of sorts. Thank you, I appreciate it. Send $10 the rest of chat, too. The Wise Autistic One, thank you for the $5. The Zach of All Trades, thank you for the tier 3 sub. Really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Nebulazer, thank you for the incredibly kind $20. Can't usually make the stream, but I really appreciate you in chat for making me laugh and teaching me to destroy my Mormon MAGA family with facts and logic. I love you. Mormons, good luck. Jesus. Debate is not graded for Mormons, you know? That underwear. The Zach of all trades, thank you for the $10. Most of my guy friends that are happier and have a healthier perspective on life tend to have several girlfriends. Girl space friends. Myself included. Girls give good advice. Having female friends is really important as a guy because it ensures you can treat women like normally and engage with them normally and be friends with them normally. Because if you can't do that, it's a setup for other problems in your life. Sorry, I want to cough so badly. Tamura Chisaki 90. Thank you for the very kind $5. Love your streams. Thanks for helping me decide to align more with progressives. My pleasure. Happy that despite being insufferable, you've still shifted over like that, you know? Type shit. Super chat. Super chat. Wandering Robot Studio and the Robot Chicken MLP, thank you for the $5 both. Where's Poochie? Thank you for the $2.79 Canadian. Jolish, thank you for the $2. Paloma Del Mar, thank you for the two $5 donos. Really appreciate that. They will be heavily censored, but we can still work with that. Okinawan Still Alive, thank you for the $10 both. Really appreciate that. David Lynch originally never wanted the mystery of Twin Peaks to be solved. I haven't seen Twin Peaks. I know, I'm getting to it. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with not, you know, solving a mystery if the show is not about the mystery. Yeah, the fact that they didn't kill off Jesse Pinkman in season 1 of Breaking Bad, probably the best argument possible for the importance of having a fluid approach towards your script as you work through a show. You know, can you imagine Breaking Bad without Jesse Pinkman? Unbelievable. Yeah, in the original draft or the original script, Jesse Pinkman was supposed to die in season 1, probably, you know, dramatic season finale stuff. But obviously, like, there's no way that could have produced a better outcome than what we got. Oh, hey, 64 Loco. I hope it goes well. You've got one hell of an uphill battle. Hope it works out. Stupid Genius, thank you for the $10. BoJack Horseman was also pretty great about its overarching mysteries over the seasons. I agree. Yeah, 100%. BoJack Horseman had lots of, like, little mysteries about BoJack's character, but the show wasn't about the mysteries. The show was about him, you know? Victorious Gardenosaurus and Wandering Robot Studio, thank you for the $5 both. Paloma Del Mar, thank you for the $2. Stupid Genius, thank you for the $10. Really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Jacob Kruger and Pale Magpie, thank you for the $5 and the £5. Thank you very, very much. Shoyar, thank you for the 50 Czech currency. Paloma Del Mar and NF Config, thank you for the $2 both. Ghost of Avalon, thank you for the $10. This may not be the Hollywood-style ending we wanted, where the big bad rich guy goes to jail forever, but it's still a legitimate win, and we should savor it while we can. God, yes. Those Hollywood endings typically don't happen in real life. Jesus. Even after everything came out about Harvey Weinstein, they're still, you know, fucking kicking that can down the road, right? Tyler Kerr and James, thank you for the two $5 donos. Really appreciate that. The bill is HR 4405, public record. Oh, I can't read a full page of anything out loud right now. Appreciate it, though. Ty Jirai and Turton, thank you for the 10 US and Australian dollars. Really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. No impeachment's going to happen, fun as it is to imagine. They've tried and failed before. Lucid Vibe Media, thank you for the $2 donos. Paloma Del Mar, Adrian Usual, and Jolish, thank you for the $5 donos. Very kind of you. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's veto-proof. For sure. Carlos Rolls and Emish, thank you for the $10 both. Very, very kind of both of you. And Schnarf, thank you for the $20. Kat Abagazela has been indicted for protesting an ICE facility, and this cringe lord brought to her a care package filled with prison supplies. What? This cringe lord brought her a care package filled with prison supplies. I'm not sure what you're referring to. This cringe lord? You didn't give me a name. You say I should watch it. I don't know what you mean. Including holy water, that video is wild. It seems other people know what you're talking about. I'm afraid I have no idea. No idea. Memory Suit, Carlos Rules, and Red Mage, thank you for the 2 US and Canadian. Kyle Kalinske name-dropped you on Fuentes' video. Nice. Happy to hear that. You know, I name-drop Kyle Kalinske quite a bit myself. So I'd like to think that there's kind of a reciprocal respect. Unless it was negative, but I don't think Kyle's saying anything negative about me. I'm not saying anything negative about Kyle. Justin, thank you for the $4. Thank you, thank you. And Panacea Pan, thank you for the $5. Really appreciate that. Very kind of you. Putting pro-Trump and I stickers on their cars to lessen the chance of being pulled over randomly. Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. It's why I have, you know, Ku Klux Klan stickers all over my car, because I don't want to be pulled over for some bullshit reason by the notoriously right-wing Seattle Police Department, right? You know, I've got like Cascadia Forever stickers all over. Probably don't deface your cars with those stickers, you know. Seriously, ICE right now is pretty unpopular. You definitely don't want to try to cynically circumvent their attention in a way that bolsters their perceived popularity, right? Just my recommendation. All right, folks. Hopefully I'm able to stream tomorrow. It's really just a matter of my cough relaxing, because you can probably tell from how stuttered my speech is right now. I'm just trying not to cough, you know? Just a irritating. I'm not sick, you know, it's just like a reflex. So I've got a steroid shot injected directly into my throats. I've got a glizzy gulp, some steroids. Helps with inflammation, the reflex that makes you cough. Whatever's necessary. Or my beautiful partner can make me tea. Either way, I love you all very much. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you probably tomorrow. I'm thinking tomorrow. Probably tomorrow, okay? Good luck.